Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the eighth episode of Goose Chasing. My brother, I can't believe it's lasted this long. I'm not going to lie.
Wow, 8 strong.
8 strong. This is the 2-month mark, and we got a lot more stories to tell. So get your popcorn and get comfortable. This is a podcast brought to you by TAGNBRAG and TAGNBRAG Productions. We are also brought to you by TAGNBRAG Apparel and TAGNBRAG Land Management, because we believe there's better hunting in your future. So
We know there is.
we should probably build it together.
Got to do it together.
Dino, I don't even know what we have in store for us tonight, honestly. We've never done anything like this before. We are recording this one in the evening. Normally we're morning birds chirping away at the other birds and the worms and bugs and all sorts of shit. But today we're in the dark. We're doing it late night, and we're going to have our first guest on, and it's kind of by default. We've got a handful of recipients that we want to ask to be on this show with us, and we have a list of people, and this fella is not on the list. And he just kind of came to us via social medias, and he's got a crazy story to tell, and he wants to use our platform to tell it. So God bless. I mean, shit.
Pretty cool stuff.
Goose chasing is getting that much recognition in the 2 short months it's been alive. And yeah, he's got a insane, crazy story about finding some human remains while shed hunting.
Wild.
Think about that.
Pretty wild, especially with shed hunting. That's what we're doing right now, but I can't even imagine walking up on something like that.
I don't even understand fully what this means. I don't understand how it could have happened, but I guess that's why we're here. We're gonna tell the story together, apparently. Yeah, I mean, while shed hunting, found human remains. I'm not sure what remains. I'm not sure where. I know this guy's from Kansas, I believe southeast Kansas, and yeah, it'll be pretty interesting to hear his story and kind of dive into that. I mean, it was kind of one of those things where it was like, you know, we connected with this guy. He's actually been a long time follower. Loves just kind of the humor and just the natural authenticity, I think, that we conduct ourselves with. So he's always messaged us back and forth, and I hadn't heard from him in a while, but he messaged us about a week and a half ago and was like, I got a crazy story for you, and started telling it. And he's like, would you guys ever want to help me tell it? And I'm like,
Well,
you're damn right. You're damn right we would. So we're going to be joined by Parker Stapp from Southeast Kansas. He's a guide in Unit 11. I'm not even sure what all that means. Never hunted Kansas before, but I'm sure we will soon find out. But yeah, I just sent him a link, so we're going to see when he jumps on here. But what else you got going on this week, Dino?
Oh, just a lot of work. I just walked a property today not for a land consultation, for a potential lease.
Yeah. How was that?
It was great.
Was it as good as it looks on OnX? Better?
It's a very nice property. It's definitely a tough to hunt property. And a lot of the bush and trees on there it's like all old clear cut, so you don't have a lot of big timbered hardwoods, but there's a lot of secluded fields that like butt up to swamps. A lot of stuff we like.
Do you find any sheds?
No, but I honestly wasn't really looking. I was just kind of I the last mile I was looking, um, but the first 2.5 miles I was just soaking in the land. I mean,
That's
I was looking a little bit, but um I wasn't walking in the spots where I would be like trying to shed hunt. I was kind of walking to learn the land, if that makes sense. But for this particular property, there was a difference. So, but no, I didn't find any sheds. I'm actually surprised I didn't, but I think I could if I went back there and walked it to try to find some.
it's interesting to because I do that too. Like this public piece that I've been scouting in Tennessee. I mean, I haven't found any sheds on it, but when I go there, I'm not really looking. Like I'm more looking at the land. I'm looking for sign. I'm looking like if I get up on a, on a ridge or up on a hill somewhere, like I'm looking in the distance. I'm trying to understand, the big picture around me. And I can't remember. I was reading an article, and this was a long, long time ago. But the guy said in the article, he was like, you're either shed hunting or you're scouting. And those are two different things.
They are. And
So,
that's kind of the game I was playing today. Um, yeah, because I got halfway through it all, and I was like, I have not been looking for sheds, but yeah, again, some of it I was navigating through like 4-wheeler trails, and obviously you're really not gonna find sheds on those, but I was just trying to. I mean, it was a big piece of property, so I was trying to cover as much ground as I possibly could, and wasn't gonna do that walking through the thick of it. So, but I saw a lot of sign.
that's good. Any big rubs?
I didn't see any huge rubs, but I probably wasn't in the spots I would see huge rubs, but I saw a lot of rubs, a lot of scrapes.
That's good.
Um, yeah, it was a nice piece of property. Definitely has a lot of potential, especially if food plots were in there. But there's there's probably a good deal of there's definitely a good deal of hunting pressure around the property.
Okay.
But
Could be a safe haven if you
yes,
let it be.
I mean once I got into some of the middle of it, it's a long, narrow piece of property, so that's the other thing that makes it challenging. But once I got into the middle of some of the clear cut stuff, I was like, man, the deer can come in here and disappear. So
Yeah, no one will ever.
if they don't move, you ain't gonna find them.
That's very true.
But it was a nice piece, and it's close to home, so
That's
gives
always good.
it could if it worked out, it could be a good spot to just you don't have to go too far, but you can get way back in there.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing by us, or like, I mean by where I used to live, but where Dean still lives up in Northeast Ohio. We've never really had a big enough chunk of property to plant food plots on. So we do all of our food plot chronicles and all of our land management, or most of our land management, up in New York because it's where we got the space to do it. I mean, we're hunting 10, 15 acre chunks of land here and there in Ohio, and I mean that obviously poses its challenges and stuff like that too, but there is something to be said to, I don't know, get off the beaten path a little bit more and enjoy some time in the bush.
Absolutely. Well, it'd be cool to be able to do what we do in New York, at least on a certain level in Ohio, because we have results in New York where it's a pretty awful state from a number standpoint to hunt big deer. And Ohio is one of the best states to hunt big deer. So
So there's that.
put some of the same work in process and could have better results, but you never know. Could be worse.
All right, you guys. Well, first ever guest on the Goose Chasing podcast, is our buddy Carl Stapp from Southeast Kansas. He is a whitetail guide in Unit 11. Parker, I don't even really know what that means. What is, like, I mean, obviously there's different units throughout the state, but what do you do down there as far as like the hunting side of things go, and kind of give us maybe a little bit of your background and stuff.
Well, I am a 42-year-old father of two. I got a 22-year-old daughter and a 20-year-old daughter. And I live a life out here in the middle of southeast Kansas, getting to do exactly what I've always wanted to do, putting people on big whitetail deer. I've been doing this now for 6 years. Been real successful. We 3 years ago we killed a 211. The year before last we killed a 203, and then a buddy of mine ended up harvesting a buck on one of the neighboring farms this year that was 193 with an average of about 150.
How many acres is this? This is just an outfitter that like you're a part of down there, or is it
No, this is all me.
Oh, this is all you.
It's
Oh,
awesome.
wow.
Yeah, I only take 15 guys a year.
Wow. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and I just kind of wanted to do some more of like a premium hunt. You know, I didn't want it to become a meat market for, I don't know, I don't want to throw any names under any buses or nothing like that, but I didn't want to turn into a place where you were just a dollar figure to me. We own a bar and grill in Chanute and an Airbnb. What it's allowed us to do is just make a lot of friends. Like most of my guys at this point are return customers. And it's like, it's family, really, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that means you boys will have to come hunt with me someday.
Oh, you don't have to be careful what you wish for. We might be there next year.
Let's go.
So is this all, I mean, is this all leased property, or, how did you
Yeah.
even get into the outfitting business?
So Shauna and I looked at each other about 5 years ago, and she said, "Where do you want to live?" And I said, "Kansas." And she goes, "What's in Kansas?" And I said, "Nothing, just big whitetail deer." And we come over here, and her dream was always to own a restaurant. She traveled the country being a consultant, got tired of flying, and she opened up a bar and grill and has had that now for 3 years. She asked me, "Well, if we're going to be in Southeast Kansas and I'm going to run a bar and grill, what do you want to do?" I said, "How about lease land and put guys on big whitetails?" And she goes, "As long as you're happy." So that's when I hit one knee.
So you guys are both living the dream.
I probably live more of a dream than she does. The restaurant industry is kind of a hectic way to make money.
Well, that's awesome, man. Congratulations, to both of you guys. I mean, just moving to a different state and kind of starting from scratch and making it happen. I mean, that's pretty cool. So where are you guys originally from?
I'm from a little town called Stockton, Missouri, and she's from a little town called Lebanon, New Hampshire.
Okay.
Awesome.
So yeah, you guys just up and left, went to Kansas, planted a couple seeds. Here you are.
Yeah. Yeah, we lease about 3,500 acres altogether.
Wow.
Yeah, it's good, boys. It's a lot of fun.
You mainly have is most of your land contiguous? Like, is it all together, or is it different chunks here and there?
Different chunks here and there, and I've strategically done that. A lot of my ground that I have, so like, we're probably 80% row crop and 20% timber here.
Wow.
And I hunt a lot of little small pockets of timber and transition between like row crop stuff. And we're just super successful. And on top of that, some people will crucify you for saying this, but we're a state that can bait.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know, we're super successful at what we do, and it's a lot of fun.
It's funny that you say that. Dean still lives in Ohio. That's where we're originally from. And obviously, as you probably know, that Ohio is a state where you can bait as well. And I mean, really anymore in Ohio unless you own like thousands and thousands of acres that are continuous. I mean, you kind of have to put yourself in the game because everybody else is doing it. It's just kind of the nature of the beast at this point. But man, we posted a video earlier in the year of one of our, it's actually just a repost of a video of a buck that Dean shot last year, late season in Ohio. He actually shot the deer, and the deer shut his rack right after
Yeah.
the shot. I don't know if you've seen that video or not, but man, did it catch some backlash. I mean, it was crazy because there was people that were, either from Ohio or from a state that you can bait in, and they were combating what the naysayers were saying. But it's funny to hear people talk about it. I think it's a topic, definitely a topic of discussion within our hunting world. But it's funny to hear people's feedback on it, and more oftentimes than not, the negative feedback Dean and I have found out is coming from people who either can't do it or have never done it before, so they don't have any experience. But it doesn't. It makes it different. I don't believe it makes it any easier. It makes it different for sure. But what's your thoughts on it all?
So I grew up in a state that it was not legal in, and I didn't do it. Like, not even being like ornery and thought, well, let's see if I can do it, if I can get away with it type of deal. Just didn't do it. Didn't want the trouble. And then I moved to Kansas, and I started throwing corn on the ground, and I was like, well, my taxidermy bill probably appreciates that I haven't been able to do this for the last 35 years of my life. But you kind of nailed it on the head there with saying the people that, want to be naysayers, and they're the first ones to come to the state, draw the tag, get excited, and be like, hey, can we put 400 pounds of corn on the ground? And I'm like, absolutely, we can.
That's fun. I mean, yeah, it's definitely an interesting topic. I mean, some of the spots that we hunt, I mean, we have experience with both too. We grew up hunting up in Western New York. I mean, we didn't hunt Ohio until probably our college years. Like, we literally grew up hunting Western New York.
The thing you have to ask yourself, the states that don't allow baiting, what are those guys doing?
What are they? What?
What are they? Look behind Dean. What are they doing?
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's the same thing.
It's just a different way of getting to the same outcome, I guess, because
100%.
as a whitetail hunter, if you have any cognitive whitetail hunting skills, you're hunting either the bedroom, the food, or somewhere in between, because
Yeah, the transition.
give yourself your best odds. And no matter what I mean, there's a lot of food sources out there that don't look like the turnips behind Dean, or don't look like a yellow, pile of corn either. And ultimately, it's trying to figure out what that food source is, and essentially getting in between where you think that he or any deer is laying, and how they're going to get there.
Well, hunting has changed so much just in the last, let's say, 10 years.
Yeah.
Between
oh my gosh, yeah.
the food plot seed, I'll just, the Drury boys, Biologic, they were putting those guys on the map. They were killing big bucks. They were putting in food plots. And then the trail cam came along. So it's ever evolving, and it's not going to slow down at this point. And anybody that lives in a state where you can't bait, or lives in a state where you can bait, the people that live in a state that you can bait, they're going to be at the local co-op buying thousands of pounds of corn. I put out 20,000 pounds of corn a year, boys. That's
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And then when I was living in Missouri, I couldn't bait, so I was at Walmart or at Bass Pro buying Biologic and planting brassicas and turnips, and I was trying to do the exact same thing and be successful. But it's it's not going to slow down. It's not going to go away at this point. And these trail cameras they have nowadays are quite the unfair advantage in some ways, I think.
Well, and two, I mean, I guess the way that we look at it is, you know, we're hunters, we're all one. No matter what way you get there, as long as you're doing it legally, like let's just all support each other. I mean, you know, I know that if I'm hunting up in New York, I can't really compare myself to a guy that's hunting in Ohio or hunting in Kansas because it's a totally different ball game, and we no different than we get this a similar experience when we go out to North Dakota. It's just a different world out there, and you can bait out there too, and you know it's a totally different world than what we grew up hunting in, and we're not going to go out there and knock the people that hunt a certain way out there or whatever. Like, we want to go experience it because ultimately, when you go back to your home turf, it's going to make you better in some way, shape, or form. You're going to learn a little something. If your eyes are open, you're going to learn a little something. And so at the end of the day, man, we're all hunters. We all like to enjoy the same thing. We all love this as a tradition and a pastime, and enjoying it with, you know, family, friends, whoever. Just, you know, as long as somebody's not doing something illegal or something crazy, stupid, whatever, it's like, man, just support each other and move on.
I think one of the biggest hurdles that we need to cross over as far as hunters, and that whole, like, whether you're a whitetail hunter, you're an elk hunter, you're a mule deer, you're a bighorn, whatever it might be, there's a lot of people in these communities. When out-of-state hunters roll in, everybody starts talking like old puffed up Tom turkeys. And I don't get it at all, because if I want to go kill an elk, I got to go to Colorado or Utah or Wyoming or Arizona. And at that point, I'm an out-of-state hunter. And I want to do those things. And like my friends, I got a couple of guys that are retired New York City police officers, and they hunt up there in New York. But as soon as they get off the plane here in Kansas, the first thing my buddy Ted Wallace says is this heaven? You know, so I went last year to down to the Everglades and did peacock bass fishing, and then went to the ocean the next day and around Mar-a-Lago and fished. And I can't do that here in Kansas. So I think there's hurdles that people need to cross together and like start to understand, like, there's enough division with any topic you want, and we have to quit fighting against each other the way we're doing things as hunters. You know, is it the baiting topic? Is it the out-of-state hunter topic? Is it the crossbow topic? I mean, it's always something to be fighting each other about.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
Yeah, I could not agree more. There's plenty to go around. I mean, you even, like, I was seeing some posts on social media the other day about how influencers, or, you know, I don't necessarily love the word influencer anymore, because I feel like you get caught up in like a, you know, 16-year-old TikTok girl category as like an like a quote unquote influencer. Like, as a hunter, like, we just document what we do and we let other people see it. We're not trying to be freaking, you know, Michael Waddell or, you know, Terry Drury or anything like that. Like, it's just not, like, we're doing our thing and we're showing people because we believe that people can, you know, can learn from it to some degree. But there was somebody that was saying, like, the influencers are ruining, you know, the out-of-state hunts or the in-state hunts, depending on where you're at or how you look at it. And it's just like, you know, they're jacking up prices of the land and leasing and stuff like that. But I mean, man, if you look hard enough, there's still plenty of land, plenty of hunting, plenty of fishing to go around for everybody. So it's just about doing work. A lot of people.
Kansas does this thing called WeHaul. It's walk-in hunting access, and those farms are owned by like the local people in the area, and get X amount of dollars on the acre. And my buddy came in last year and killed a 203 on Weehall, a mile from my house.
Wow.
I mean, he had trail picks of 2 or 3 160, 170 class deer. So there's a lot of things that I feel like Kansas is doing right. I don't know that I'll always agree with everything, and I think that's part of just being a human. But I wish they would make everybody own a buck. It would help the buck to doe ratio. That would be the only thing I would really change about Kansas, because here's some crazy numbers for you. Kansas out of state tags and in state over the counter for us residents, we sell 187,000 tags. A square mileage, we're bigger than Missouri, but they sell 875,000 whitetail tags.
Wow.
So they're selling 600,000 more tags per
Wow.
season.
That's
Wow. That is, and I mean, that's insane. But that's why that's why Kansas is notorious for having as many big deer as they do. I mean,
You guys need to come hunt with me.
say no more.
I'm there.
I'm
Say
serious.
no more.
Why don't you guys come out? See, they just opened the draw up on April 1st, and it goes through the 28th. I'm in Unit 11, and after we get done with this conversation about where we're headed on it, we can hit the DMs, and I'll give you guys my thoughts on all of it. And if it sounds like something you guys want to do, I would love to have you guys out just to share camp with you more than anything.
Yeah, no, that's, I mean, honestly, can't thank you enough
That's what
for
we
that.
love to do. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been, and it's funny that you say that too, because Kansas has kind of been our next like whitetail radar spot that we've been talking about it for a handful of years. But absolutely, we would, we'll talk offline here and get
Yeah, for
that
sure.
thing out, because we'd love to share camp with you as well, and we appreciate you jumping on here to tell your crazy story to begin with. So it's always fun to just connect with other fellow hunters, fishermen, women, whatever, and share the passion, because I think the more that we do that, the more that a lot of this clout and some of the negativity and stuff like that, it at least diminishes, within ourselves. So if it makes you feel better for a second anyway.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing about the whitetail world. I've met thousands of hunters. Like I was just at the Iowa Deer Classic with the North American Shed Hunters Club, checking in antlers and scoring them, and that's something that will never get old. Like whether they're knocking on the door here at the house and getting ready to get set up for the next day to hunt, or BSing with some guy in Iowa about a deer he was chasing, and now he's just holding his sheds. Unless you're like Dean and you shoot it and then you're holding its sheds, whatever.
No, I couldn't agree more with you. It's fun just meeting new people along the way, sharing stories, connecting with different people in different parts of the country, and sharing knowledge, and eventually, getting to share camp with some of these people is a blessing. I mean, we came from a little 40-acre chunk in Western New York, and we were fortunate enough to grow up around a plethora of family and friends that we hunted with every single year. And that's, I mean, honestly, that's why we're sitting right here today doing this. That's how TAGNBRAG came about, because it was so ingrained in us at a young age, and the values that we grasped through all of those experiences, stuck with us so much that we wanted to try and make a career out of it. And here we are. And if you would have told us as young kids, we would be talking to a guy from Kansas that's now inviting us to come out and hunt with him, in the coming years, it's a dream come true for us. And this platform, this tradition has helped us get there. And so, I mean, it's, when you kind of put yourself out there, and when you allow yourself to experience these things and to kind of chase your dreams and stuff like that, you just never know where you can end up. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, we're certainly grateful for your time, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. This
So
is why I do what I do.
let's dive into this this shed hunt a little bit. I know we talked a little bit about this, but Dean doesn't really know too much about it. I don't know, Dean. Do you have anything for Parker before we get going?
No, I was just gonna to kind of lead into that. I was just gonna, ask, what are you doing right now to prepare for your, your upcoming season? And I'm assuming that's a lot of shed hunting, but is there anything specifically, or does the shed hunting itself help you a ton, for the upcoming season?
So there's three things in this part of the world that I would say can lead you to be successful in the whitetail woods. Knowing pressure systems, knowing rising moon, and shed hunting. And I feel like shed hunting is probably the most important thing you can do as a whitetail hunter in this area. I can't speak for like big timber bucks. Like if you go to Arkansas or you go out to Georgia or you go to Louisiana, into those places where there's a ton of timber and a ton of places for them to hide. But it's the most crazy thing. I had a couple of guys that come in and hunt from me with Kentucky, real good friends of mine, Ricky Carter and Travis Abney. And I got hurt on the second day shed hunting. I hurt my leg and I couldn't shed hunt because I'm old. And in those 2 days, we found 93 sides.
Wow.
Um,
See, we've never even experienced anything close to that. Like I mean, not even a tenth of that.
No, when you come to Ohio and New York to shed hunt, it's just you're not there's too much bush here. Like you said, there's too much timber. We've had decent days but decent days
12,
for
maybe
us is
15.
yeah at the most.
Ricky found 27 on Saturday.
Wow.
That's crazy.
But the crazy part, what I was going to say, I've often said, and I laugh about this because I'm never going to do it, but I say it every year. I'm going to write a book, and it's going to be called. What did I say? I was going to call the stupid thing. Just basically the Whitetail Roadmap. That's what it was. Whitetail Roadmap. And when you walk into the timber here, like here at the house, I've got, let's see, there's 160 acres of, it'll be corn this year. And then there's a finger of timber that runs through it. But when you get into that finger of timber, those trails are beat down like a highway. Like Ricky will look at me and go, "Are you sure there's no cattle on this?" I'm like, "Those are deer tracks, Ricky. You know there's not cattle in here." But yeah, it's the most learning, because what you can do when you're in there is you start looking at these trails because they're creatures of habit. These deer, they're adult deer, are teaching these young, this is what we do, this is where the food is. It's winter wheat right now. It'll be corn, it'll be beans. Like this is how the deer talk to the fawns around here. I don't know if they do that where you're at or not. But no, seriously, the most important thing that I do as a whitetail guide is shed hunt, because I can look at the timber and say, I need to stand here for a northwest wind, and I'm going to hang it in this position because the trails are to the south of, or to the north of, like where this stand set's going to be. And then I can go down a creek and be like, oh, I need a south wind stand here with the trails. There's a split in that trail. I found 3 sheds on this trail. I know these deer are traveling it, but it's so cool to find out, like in late summer into September when they're still bachelored up, they might split up a little bit. Some of them will stick around, but those ones that split up that you didn't see all season long, you'll go back in there in this late winter, early spring, and their sheds will be laying. You're like, yeah, well, he's still around.
That's so cool. I mean, yeah, we've grew up watching, monster bucks and Drury's and all the big guys on TV. I mean, we idolized all these guys and stuff growing up, and we always watched and saw that, but I never like really experienced hunting like that. I mean, we experienced it a little bit in North Dakota, but even in Ohio, you know, you can find some spots, you know, that are predictable like that, or that you can, you know, really truly hunt the wind and stuff. But man, where we're at up in New York, it's big timber up there, and it's tough to get a pattern on anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, nor
No,
is
it's
the shed hunting is like almost less important for us. We were just talking about this a couple weeks ago. Like we learn a lot, we scout a lot, but as far as like knowing what deer are there or still alive, like you just don't normally. It's a lot less chance to actually find the sheds, so you learn at least a little bit less about the deer herd shed hunting and where we're from.
so I built a new house a year and a half ago, and the first year that we were here, we found 7 sheds right here around the house because I was putting out a lot of corn and trying to see like kind of what was in the area. And then last year, I found a set from the deer that we'd found, and then the guy that was planting corn found both of his sides this year. So we constantly get this history. And if you guys come out and hunt, it's I don't even know. It's like I just get excited talking about it with everybody because there's only so much timber that these deer can hold up in,
Right.
and the rest of it's row crop. So you just it's not like it's not cheating, but it's close.
I mean that's honestly, we gotta make it out there because I want to just experience it. I want to
Yeah,
experience that.
two seasons ago, I put a kid on a 211,
Jesus.
and it rained 7 inches like 3 days before he got here, and I just told him, I'm like, you have to walk in. We can't ride side by side. There's nothing back in there. I'm sorry. You're gonna get it done. Like, and he was in about a 15-acre section of timber, and I was getting pictures of him on like high pressure rising moons, but right at dark. So I kept thinking to myself, he's got to be farther east towards the river. So I put another camera up, and I got pictures of him like 10 minutes before dark. And then I went even farther, and I'm like, I can't go any farther than this because I'm going to bump him if I keep messing with this deer. And I got pictures of him 30 minutes before dark. And it's just, I've learned so much about these deer in this specific area. Now, could I go duplicate this in other states? Maybe not. But for here, I mean, I don't know that there's anybody else doing it and being as successful. We've killed some really, really great deer over the last 4 years.
Yeah, it sure sounds like it. I mean, that's a couple 200-inch deer a couple years in a row is impressive.
Right.
Anywhere or with anybody, that's for sure. So, well, why don't you tell us a little bit about this shed hunting story from this past year? We kind of cued everybody in a little bit on it, but you found some pretty interesting and I would say it's a pretty rare find for shed hunting. Well, really for any time, anything, but definitely from the shed hunting standpoint of view. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that and what you came across?
Okay. I've been thinking about this for a week and how I wanted to tell you guys about this. So, I'll start back like 3 weeks before it all happened. And Mark and Terry had made a post on their Instagram, and somebody was holding like the lower jawbone of a human being. And I looked at it and I'm like, that's a jawbone. I thought, but human. And I made this stupid ass comment. You know, you guys ought to mark that on OnX and then call law enforcement. Period. I'm surprised this hasn't ever happened to me. Period.
Oh my gosh, that's nuts.
So it was About a week or so later, there's a company here in a little town called Humboldt. Two big companies, industries. One of them's called B&W Trailer Hitches, and the other company is called Monarch. And they've got a ton of land. Monarch's probably got, without exaggerating, 30 farms. They do run some cattle on some of it. They let farmers row crop, and you cannot shed hunt it at all. You have to walk in, talk to this lady, sit down for like 45 minutes while she looks up the paperwork and calls the guy that has it leased on the farm, and then get permission on all of it. Well, out of 30 farms, I asked specifically to shed hunt this one farm. Not 5 farms, not 8 farms, this one farm. It's got a big thicket on it, and it's got winter wheat all the way around it.
Okay, so you were just looking at OnX and stuff, and you saw something that you liked, so you wanted that specific spot.
100%. Like that was it. That was my ulterior motive. There's got to be sheds in there.
So are you looking at this for like a potential spot to lease, or is this just like a fun shed hunt for you?
This is just a fun shed hunt. I've been doing this, like I said, I'm 42. My mom used to drop me off at the Stuffton State Park when I was a kid and let me go walk until dark and then get mad at me later because I had antlers laying everywhere. So I've been doing this not my whole life, but for a long time of it. And anyways, I sat down with Karen and signed the paperwork, and she asked me, she said, how many times do you want to go onto this farm? I was like, well, I don't know, twice. I mean, I felt like I could get it looked over pretty good twice. So I went in the first time and I parked on the east side of the farm, walked all the winter wheat out, walked all the bedding out, and I left. And I think I found like maybe 2 fresh antlers in there. So I thought to myself, well, I'm going to leave it for a while and I'll come back, give it time, maybe some more deer shed. So this time I parked on the west side of this farm, and I walked in. We found probably 7, I think is what I found, 7 sheds. And I'm walking out kind of a different line that I walked in. But the crazy thing is I'd walked within 30 yards of this the first time and didn't see it. But then when I'm walking back in or walking back out I was going to leave for the evening actually. There was no question about what I was seeing. Not that I've seen any in my entire life, but I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the skull of a man's face. Wow. And I walked over to it, and I'm just like looking at it. And all of these thoughts that were in my mind was like, I just posted on juries that how crazy is it that I haven't had this happen yet? Wow. And then I started to really deep think. I'm like, of all the farms that they own, I'm standing on the one that I have permission on. Because if I would have been a total douchebag and a trespassing fool, what would have happened at that point?
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
I mean, I don't even know. I can't even comprehend that. Like, because I think about like you know Halloween decorations and you're seeing skulls and stuff like that, and I don't know, people got tattoos and stuff, but like if I'm walking through the woods and I see a human's skull, I don't even know what I would think, because obviously I don't. Do they know that? I'm sure you'll get more into this, but like, was that person missing? Obviously, they were missing.
Yeah.
Do they know? Like, what? There's 1,000 questions that are running through my head.
Yeah, are they still looking for him or him or her? Or Like, what did you do? What was your first thing you did?
I got sick.
Did you?
I didn't throw up. Like, it wasn't like a nauseous thing. It was like a major stress, like headache. So the first thing I did was I called Shauna. And that was after I sent a photo to her.
And that's
And
your
she's
wife?
like, what the, like, what is going on? And I told her, I was like, well, I just found this. She goes, well, you need to call the cops. They always tell you the obvious. Like, I know this.
Yeah.
So what I did was I called Karen and told her what I found. I got a hold of the farmers and told them, like, this is the situation. And they were both super, super cool about the whole entire thing. And she's like, Karen's like, you need to call the cops. I'm like, here's the deal, Karen. I'm going home. I'm taking a shower. I'm taking 4 Advil, and I'm going to lay down for a little bit. I said, because I'm super sick. Like, I can't understand it, but this is the first time this has happened, and I want to handle it the way I want to handle it.
Yeah.
And she's like, I understand that. So I came home, took my shower, took my 4 Advil, laid there for a little bit, because not to be a smartass, I knew he wasn't going anywhere. And
Well, and it's not like there was any rush. I mean, it's been there for a minute. So, like, you're not saving anyone. But yeah, whoa.
so I came home, I did my deal. My phone rang. It was a county officer, and he said, hey, can you meet me at such and such road and drive me in? I was like, yeah, no problem. So I was feeling better, drove to Humboldt, Kansas, met the officer. We drove down to the farm, pulled through the gate, and I didn't go off to my advice that I left on juries. I hadn't marked it with OnX. So I found my way back in there, and I'm like, holy crap, there's this pelvic bone, and I'm still 60 yards from his skull, and I've turned into like Dora the Explorer on this cop, and I'm starting to like look around. He's like, no. He said, you just need to show me, and we need to get out of here. I was like, I get that. I understand it. I said, but if you want, we can start looking for the rest of it. He's like, no, we got to get you out of here. So I found his pelvic bone, his skull, and his femur bone.
Wow.
And what this is what I'll tell you, David, because it wasn't you that was saying like you wouldn't know what to do and what it looked like and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
It's the most perfect thing you're ever going to see in your life. The hole that like all of the stuff in your neck and stuff goes up through is maybe a little bit bigger than the size of a quarter, and it's perfectly rounded. And and I don't want to be creepy, but the weirdest part about the whole thing is when you're staring into the eyes of that thing at 3 foot, all you can do is wonder what were the expressions? What did the face look like?
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that's just, I have goosebumps right now because, like,
insane.
Holy shit. That is some crazy.
They posted a photo the day after of a guy that went missing in that area, and they had found his van like 3/4 of a mile of where I found the body. And I think I'd already started asking myself if they know who this is, because I've only lived here now for 4 years. And this was 1.5 to 2 years prior before I moved here. So everybody in the area had already lived this and been through this. So now here I am looking at a photo of a man that they posted that used to live in this area. And I'm like, all you can do is like stare at his face.
Yeah.
You're like, so is this you?
Is that him? Yeah.
Is this not creepy weird, boys?
Dude,
I'm trying to put myself there, and I'm like, I don't. It's crazy. It's a wild feeling hearing it.
Yeah, I mean, there's only like it's got to be hard to go missing, like completely. And I know there's people that come up missing all the time, but like in this day and age with social media and TikTok is, solving murders and shit like that now, it's just like, how does this happen? How does nobody know or nobody find that? Or
So think about this. I'll send you the OnX of where the car was and where the farm that I found it.
okay,
Here, ask yourself this when I show you these two things. How did somebody not find this dude?
yeah.
Like,
If that's
there's
where they found his car, I mean, 3/4 of a mile is 3/4 of a mile. Like, you almost don't even need to see the layout to say if that's where you found his car, with dogs, with grid searching, with people. I mean, how do you not find this guy?
David, here's this crazy part about it. Of the two pieces of land I'm going to show you where the van was parked in a little bitty patch of timber and where I found the body, between those two patches, let's say it's 160 acres, there might be 30 acres of timber between the two pieces.
Unreal. That's crazy.
That's what the farmer said. He asked me, he said, where did you find him? I was like, well, you know where the T-post is? It's like bent over. He's like, yeah. He goes, I put that there. I said, you were within 40 yards of this dude. And he goes, 100 times.
Wow. That's honestly, think about that farmer. Think about what he's feeling. Think about what he thinks now. I mean, how creepy is that? He's been farming for 6 years, and this guy's been laying. I mean, and who knows? Like animals could have drugged that thing from somewhere, but how far? I mean, really, like how far? You know what I mean? Like how
Well,
far
here's
could
what
he have really
here's
gotten?
what I will say about that. Because how many dead bucks have you found in your life? And everything's somewhat close.
Close, yeah.
Right.
Okay. So a human body, this guy, I'm going to say was probably 160 to 170 pounds just by looking at the photo of him that I've seen. A coyote is going to drag him and this is such a crazy conversation.
Yeah, I know. It is fun.
and string him out a little bit, but from where his femur was to his pelvic to his skull was
Right.
all within a 60-yard radius.
Right. So he was there somewhere.
Relatively close,
right.
yeah.
That's where he
Yep.
decomposed. Anyway, I mean, yeah, that's holy shit. So did they confirm that this is the guy, or like what happens now?
Well, they haven't confirmed that's him. The community kind of has in their mind because of how it all like is just right there.
Yeah.
And I'm not 100%. I don't want to. Maybe I shouldn't say this. Well, I think they got a hold of the guy's parents because this guy was only in his late 40s or early 50s when all this went down. So his parents are probably in their late 60s or early 70s, I would think.
Right.
So they told him like, there's a good chance that this could be him.
And are they working on, like, how are they going to confirm that? Was there, I don't want to get graphic, but is there like
No,
teeth in the
I'll
skull?
answer you. There were 2 teeth in his head. The very back molars on both, because his bottom jaw wasn't there where I could see it. And
So
I
they
stayed
will-
away because I'm not that person that goes and drives around the where the tornadoes went through. I just like let these people be. So
Yeah.
I never went back out to where I had found him until 2 days later. And the only reason I wanted to do that was just to see, are they still working on the scene? And there was nobody there. They had already came in, done their thing, and left.
Wow. That's kind of
Because I have questions, like,
Yeah.
what else did you find?
right.
I mean,
Yeah,
not that any of it's my business, but like, I found him first.
Well, also, how did this? I mean, you know, when he went missing, like, what's happening? Why did he go? Like, who was the last person that communicated with this guy? Where did he come from? What, like, his car was on the side of the road in the middle of Kansas. I mean, how many people could he have been running into? Was this
So they
something?
said that all this is online because my fiance, she's a Googler. And she's like, well, she said he was with a girlfriend, and they said that they had had an argument, and he left and kind of just went missing, and they found his bin a few days later. I guess they had been at the lake all day somewhere, or the river, spending time with each other, and then they weren't.
Well, I mean, and you would think if he would have harmed himself, obviously, like, you found the skull, like, there was, skull was intact. I mean, I don't know. I'm making assumptions that he, like, maybe committed suicide or something like that, but I don't know. That is out of control. I mean, that is. I don't even know how to think about any of this.
It's been weird.
Does it bother you?
I laid pretty low for the first 2 or 3 days after.
Yeah.
I didn't post anything. And then I kind of did. I didn't post anything on Facebook because there's a lot of local people that do follow me on Facebook, and we're fairly known in the area because we own one of the bigger bar and grills here. And I didn't want to talk about it really. This is really the first time I've just come out with the most of it. Like, a lot of people don't realize how sick it made me. It sucked.
Man, I can only imagine, and we appreciate you coming on here and telling the story. I mean, I'm at a loss for words, to be completely honest. Like, I definitely don't discredit in any way, shape, or form how you may feel still. I mean, I'm shook. I can't even imagine. And especially, them knowing, kind of putting the pieces of the puzzle to who it was together, so quickly. I mean, that's not a very coincidental thing to happen. So, who else could it be? And yeah, it's just like, man, this person.
I took a guy out tonight to go look for birds, and show him a farm. And we walked into this cedar grove, and there were cow bones laying in there. And he walked over and went to pick a piece up. And all I could think in my mind was like, leave that alone.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's cow bones, but it was just, I don't want to be too much or over the top about any of it. I'm just telling you what was in my mind. It was just like, I don't want to do this again.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't blame you at all. Does it give, like, I know, because I mean, we kind of started this conversation, and talking about your love for shed hunting and how this is such, like, a big part of your hunting arsenal and becoming a better hunter and outdoorsman. Does it taint that at all? Like, how do you feel about that now?
No. I don't think I could ever let it. There's a few things in life I love that I'll never change my stance on. My relationship with God, Shauna, my kids, and whitetail hunting.
That's awesome.
And there's always something that could, happen that make you try to detour from some of that stuff. And it's such a rooted passion at this point that it's not going. Is it something that's always going to be in the back of my mind when I'm out looking for deer antlers? Absolutely.
Yeah. crazy stuff.
And you know, now I'm that guy because a lot of people do come and shed hunt with me. I can just hear them next spring. Well, you ready to go look for sheds? Yeah, let's go. Let's not find anybody.
Yeah, yeah, seriously. I mean,
I'm gonna be thinking about it when I shed hunt.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's gonna happen. Let's think about this. How popular has it become over the last 5 years?
Right. Oh my gosh.
Like
It's
when I was 16 years old, nobody was doing this.
Right.
Like I was that guy.
right.
And nowadays, everybody is shed hunting. So it's just a matter of time before this starts happening more often because there's a lot of missing people cases.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot of land and yeah, I mean, get permission for different reasons or whatever. And I mean, I think a lot of landowners are a lot more likely to let you go in and shed hunt as opposed to going in and actually hunting, you know.
Oh,
And
100%.
especially just
I have several farms I can do that on.
and just the time of year too, you know, the crops are all gone, you know, it's not like the farmers are worried about their crops getting ruined or anything like that. I mean, it's that time of year where it's like, yeah, you know, people aren't doing as much outside. It's normally the end of the winter, early spring. The weather's not typically the best. So yeah, I mean, you're gonna get a lot more likelihood of getting permission on places where you can just walk. And I mean, you come across a place like this that has been untouchable for that long, and wow.
She told me the last somebody had shed hunted one of those farms was in 2011. That was the last time somebody come in and legally signed documentation.
Wow.
Wow. And so do they let anybody hunt there or no?
No.
No.
So what you do is you look at all the farms around their farms and you go knock on doors and go, you want to lease your farm for hunting?
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, the
Yes.
deer have their own sanctuary there by default.
100%.
Well, and that makes
Yep. And if you can pick up a little 80
right
with a finger of timber on it and a little bit of row crop somewhere around that area,
right.
you can get inventory in 3 days with a pile of corn in the trail camera.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, and it just makes you think about too, you know, whoever did that or however that guy ended up there. Obviously, these people probably knew that this area was relatively untouched. I mean, that it doesn't seem like that much of a coincidence. You know,
As far, what are you saying?
like I'm saying that, like however that guy got there. I mean,
Right.
it seems like somebody else put him there. You know, that seems to be what made sense. Like whoever did that obviously knew that this was a place of less traffic. Like nobody was allowed in there. You know, no, I don't know. It doesn't seem that coincidental to me that he ended up on a parcel that, you know, never gets walked on, essentially.
There's, you know, it's the good thing is he's been found.
Yeah.
The bad thing is it's been so many years that there might not be enough evidence laying around to figure any of that out.
Right.
Which, you know, that sucks for him.
Well, I mean, I guess it's good closure for the remaining family members, but even still, it's like you who knows what arrangements they even had or had them, or I mean, it's just that's just, man, it opens up a can of worms of questions and curiosity that I don't know. I could probably go on for days.
Well, one of the things that I've been thinking is we have a pretty big outreach through our bar and grill in Chanute. And once they do confirm who it is, you know, that family's going to want to put that body to rest, what's left of that man. And I think it would be amazing if we could do some sort of donation through our bar and grill for that family to kind of ease that pain as well.
Yeah, I mean, good for you for even thinking that way. I mean, there's a lot of people that wouldn't think like that, but that's pretty honorable to even think that way. I mean, especially with kind of the reaction that you had and what you felt just from finding that. I mean, just insane. I mean, talk about
For
Crazy
sure.
story.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
going out for a shed hunt and you have a life-changing experience. That's pretty nuts.
Yeah.
Well, Parker, we really appreciate you jumping on here to tell that story. I know certainly couldn't have been easy to talk about, and I know you had some, it hasn't been easy to just kind of come out and talk about it up until now, but we certainly appreciate you following along with all of our stuff and appreciate the time today coming on here to talk through. Yeah, I mean,
Well, I love your guys' content, dude. Like, it's just off the cuff, and I love seeing your personalities, and that's really the 100% reason why I wanted to invite you guys out to hunt, because I would love to just laugh for like 6 days straight at you, dude.
and we will, and
We would do that.
we definitely we appreciate you having us out. We'll connect offline here and
For sure.
and if it's not this year, we'll definitely plan something within the next couple years. But if we're coming out to hunt Kansas, we're gonna come out and hunt with you for sure.
Heck yeah.
That sounds great.
Well, Parker, thank you again for jumping on here. For any of you guys interested in hunting, Parker, where can they find more information about in touch with you and possibly planning on coming to book a hunt with you?
Well, they can just go on my Instagram page. Like I tell most people, most of my guys are returning customers. I only take about 15 guys a year, so I stay booked out pretty much every year.
Gotcha.
Which is a blessing.
Yeah,
I don't get too many new guys, one or two maybe here and there, but you can catch up with me on my Instagram.
Awesome. Well,
Cool.
Parker, once again, we appreciate the time, and we'll look forward to talking to you soon, man.
Yeah, thanks, Parker.
Take care of yourselves, guys. Be safe this fall, okay?
Yeah,
Will do.
Likewise, we'll talk to you soon.
Wear your safety harnesses.
Absolutely.
Dino, you still there?
Still here.
Oh, holy shit.
Wild stuff.
Dude, that's crazy, man.
It's got me in a weird headspace.
I'm telling you, me too.
I'm getting ready to, I haven't been able to do any, I honestly haven't been able to shed hunt because we've had an awesome February. No, all the bucks, we're still holding. And now the last month, we've gotten some big snows and stuff, which has kind of put a delay on all that. But I'm getting ready we finally got some nice weather. I'm getting ready to maybe take a walk tomorrow. And I'm like, it's just a crazy feeling. I can't even imagine walking up on something like that.
Well, when you're walking your own property and stuff, you hope that you would never run
Yeah,
into
yeah.
that. But yeah, I mean, man, so many questions running through my head right now. I mean, what happened? Like Parker said, how did they not find that guy? The van is within 3/4 of a mile, and there's very little timber, like 30 acres of timber in that block where how do you not find that guy?
Yeah, that is pretty crazy.
It makes you wonder, was it a local thing? Was it one of them push it under the rug deals? Was it,
Well, I mean, you never, it's hard to say stuff like that. It could be, he could have been driving and been having a heart attack or something, and he just got out, and I don't even know.
Yeah,
you just don't know. You don't know.
No, you don't know, but man, that's some crazy shit. Holy. And I know obviously he holds shed hunting far closer to his heart than we do. I mean, we're kind of still green in that space per se, but I don't know. That would probably mess me up for shed hunting for the rest of my life. Like, because like he said, you're walking all the time. When we're walking down in southern Ohio, it's a massive cow farm. And the cows are kind of free range to go wherever. We find cow bones and stuff like that all the time. It's like you walk up on another bone, even if it's you see like the white part of a shed, and you're just like, oh. But then, like in the back of your mind, you're like, what is
that? Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy story. Very awesome of him to be able to share it with us. And just because it just happened, like this is not like this happened 6 months ago. Obviously, it's just happened. So,
well, and you could tell. You could hear it in his voice. It affected him. You could hear that blatantly in his voice. And you could hear that it was honestly tough for him to talk about. Just wild, man. Absolutely wild. I don't know.
Yeah, crazy stuff. Wow.
Well, and then like we didn't even he kind of mentioned he went back and he just went back a couple days after to see if they were still on the scene and doing stuff like that, and they had already come and gone. But it's just like, man, the questions of, did you guys find anything else? Like, what did you do? What do you?
Well, yeah, you would think even 6 years after, you would think you could probably still find clothing of some sort. Yeah, it's probably not going to be in good shape, but you would think you would be able to find pieces of that kind of stuff.
Around, oh yeah, if you did an extensive search, you'd probably have to do a little bit of digging or just, at least scraping the surface of the leaves and stuff like that off. But I agree. Yeah. That's even fucking crazier.
Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff.
Whew. But Parker seemed like a good dude. He was
awesome guy.
Definitely a just pure hunter, just like we are, passionate hunter, just like we are. Kind of took a chance on himself and his fiance and moving to another part of the country to do what he loves to do.
They're both doing what they love to do. It's awesome. That's awesome. Now they need each other.
Yeah, it is pretty cool to hear that story and just to connect with other people like that and kind of shed a little bit of a positive light, because we are subject to a lot of negativity these days, and when something like the same passions or similar interests and stuff like that can be celebrated, God bless.
God bless.
Whew. I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting out of that. I knew it was going to be an interesting story. He messaged us on Instagram and he said, I want to tell this story, and kind of gave a preface of what he found, and I didn't want to talk too much about it on Instagram via DM because I wanted to get, the full story here where we could both kind of react to it. And I gotta say, I just feel weird. And it didn't even happen to me.
Yeah. I can't imagine being in those shoes and walking up on that, but he told the story very well, and hopefully in the coming weeks we'll be able to hear of closure to the story, if they can confirm who it was and maybe how it happened and whatnot.
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely going to be Googling stuff and looking shit up in Southeast Kansas, because I kind of want to just read up on the story, just see if I can find the story of the guy, when it originally happened to begin with. But yeah, crazy story. You never know when shit's going to just pop out of nowhere and have a weird rumbling effect on you. That's for sure. And that one did tonight for me.
For sure.
But goose chasing. You never know what's going to happen when you're goose chasing.
No.
But, yeah, it's getting late here. I know you probably got some things to attend to. I got to eat some dinner here yet still, so
I do too. I'm
starving,
starving.
to say the least. But another great episode, episode 8 of Goose Chasing with Parker Staub from
It's fun having
Southeast
the
Kansas.
first guest on.
Yep, definitely fun having the first guest on. We'll have to do some technical switches to see how we can get some video working for our next guest, but definitely appreciate Parker coming on, sharing his passion, sharing his stories, and just connecting, with another fellow hunter. And hopefully, in the coming years, we'll get to go on a hunt with him too. That'd be pretty sweet.
Hell yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, as always, go follow us at Team TAGNBRAG on Instagram, at TAGNBRAG on Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for all the latest and greatest vlogs. We got some good stuff up there. Just uploaded a cutlet making recipe per request from the Goose Chasers. So that just got uploaded tonight. We'll have some short clips on that on our social media. Subscribe to our Spotify account or Apple Music or Google or wherever you ingest your podcasts. And we thank you for always listening and supporting us, because as you listen, as you watch, as you support this, you are supporting a dream. And that does not go unnoticed, and it does not get taken lightly. So we very much appreciate the support now and always.
Appreciate y'all.
And man, I don't know. I got to walk outside or something. I need a little energy shift or something like that. Or maybe I'm just hungry. Maybe I need to eat something and think.
Definitely hungry too, but I'll be collecting my thoughts while shed hunting tomorrow. Definitely going to be a different perspective and thing in the back of my mind when I'm doing that.
No doubt. No doubt. Well, good luck shed hunting tomorrow. Make sure you bring that camera and record it, because these people like to see that shit. And
certainly do.
We will see y'all right here next week.
Looking forward to it.
Peace.
Peace.